Start now. And so, welcome everyone. So, this is our 12th session in the series of Jeevan Vidya Parichaya English translation reading. And Estelle had been did one session last week, and we had some good question answers over there. And I think the main content part of the book is over as well, but now we will have the question answer part of the thing. So if you basically remember, the book is essentially a transcript of a Shivir, Jeevan Vidya Shivir that Babaji conducted. And then this happened long back in 1997. And this is the Shivir is followed by some question answers sessions, right? And it was mainly it was the questions were asked by Rajan Maharaj, who basically is from Achoti, and I think they were very well phrased questions, and he has answered those questions in very good detail. So here is inviting Estelle to actually lead us through the rest of the book and maybe continue the thread that we had in our Q&A sessions to start with. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction and good evening, everyone. So yeah, last time we were ending, like the conclusion of the book was that dharma is is the same for every human. It's universal. It will be always the same at every time and place. And we ended with some discussion on like the differences between West and East, and like especially in terms of consumption and things, how it looks very different now, but how will we come to like something more coherent? And yeah, I think that's where the saying of Babaji, humans are divided in wrong, fragmented in wrong, and united in right, makes sense, because yeah, once we do wrong, it will look different in different places. Whether East or West, or even within the same family, it can look very different. But once we are right, once we follow the truth, then it will look the same. So as long as we keep that in mind and focused on to that direction, then yeah, we will all converge to the same point. So that was just to continue on to link with the previous session.
Very nice. Very nice.
And now start reading the questions and answers. This part of the book has a selection of some questions asked by students of Jeevan Vidya and their answers given by Sri and A. Nagaraj. Question 1. Do material objects have no value? Answer. Usefulness value of material objects is definite. The usefulness value of 1 kilogram of wheat today is the same as what it was 100 years ago. We only brought its value down by interfering in it, for example, by using chemical fertilizers. People became averse to labor from using chemical fertilizers as they stopped making manure from dung and started killing farm animals for their meat. They say we make money by killing animals and exporting their meat, etc. How far is that right? How far is that practical? How far is that good for humans? Who is answerable? For prosperity, it is essential that material objects have value as the fruit of human labor. Material objects are used in 3 ways: the body's nourishment, protection, and social participation. All these objects are to be used by humans. Without this, they cannot be fully happy. So that is the first question. I think, yeah, it's a good question, because previously was talking a lot that we need values in relationships. And so, yeah, one can have the question, then do material objects have no value? And I think also coming from idealism, you hear about detachment, you should not be attached to these worldly things. So it's an interesting question. And the answer is pretty nicely said that, yeah, there is value. There's usefulness value to material objects, but it's definite. So we need values to object to actually have value. Let's say he's giving the example of the wheat. like the wheat needs to have good value nowadays because we use fertilizers and everything. It actually has gone down, but it should have a value and a definite value. And we need that for a few things, which are definite: the body's nourishment, protection, and social participation. So without that, we cannot be fully happy. So it is an integral part of human beings also to have material objects, but yeah, very definite. We're not going to get happiness from material objects, but we need them for prosperity, which is a part of continuous happiness. So that was the first question. Question 2. What is dharma and what is faith? The dharma of all humans is happiness. Many faiths are there only because this fact is not understood and is not commonly accessible. The extent to which I live in abundance and in orderliness today, I can live even better tomorrow. Such living with increasing happiness is called dharma. It is not possible to be happy with problems. One can become happy only upon attaining resolution with understanding. We attain resolution on the basis of material things and then become happy. It doesn't work like this. Understanding, hence resolution, is inherent in our buddhi through awakening. One becomes capable of producing and using material things righteously on the basis of understanding. It is not possible to have a situation where we are resolved and we don't have any material things. Definite measure of material things meant for prosperity are also included with resolution, which is evidenced while living in a family. It is with this balance that we pave the way of living with happiness. These material things, while living with resolution, are the needs of abiding in dharma. So now we're starting the second question. What is dharma and what is faith? So we were talking a bit like at the end of the other session, what is dharma? And yeah, that is happiness, and we can live with happiness based on our understanding and our living in orderliness and resolution. And here saying many faith are there only because this fact is not understood. So faith are just a set of belief. It can be very different from one place to another. Whereas dharma is the same for everyone, and it is happiness, and it's based on understanding. And here it kind of connects with the previous question also, that is saying, we don't become happy by on the basis of material things. First, we have, again, understanding, and then we become happy. But these material things are necessary. And yeah, we need material things along with resolution, so which is prosperity, to abide in dharma. So it seems like it's also connecting with the previous question a little bit. I'll continue reading. Until now, no sectarian ritual could become universal, nor would they ever in future. Universality in humans will only be of orderliness, good of all, and happiness. I have understood the way humans live in orderliness and participate in overall orderliness. No one has any problem with me, the way I live. In this way, we come to the conclusion that the dharma of humans is happiness with resolution. Living in orderliness results in continuity of resolution and happiness. When Jeevan becomes happy, then resolution is evidenced in human behavior. We can accept that a human is happy based on evidence in their behavior. All humans naturally want to be resolved, and without exception want to be happy, whether they are dark, fair, mighty, weak, rich, or poor. Since time immemorial, the method of becoming happy has been to search for happiness in sensual pleasure, but that hasn't worked. Consequently, it has become clear now that understanding is the basis of becoming happy. Understanding is when humans have understood themselves and existence. So again here, faith is more like creating sectarian ritual, so meaning fragmentation, and there cannot be universality there. Not today, nor in the future. We have to understand orderliness and good of all. And like faith usually creates more division because we cannot believe in the same thing. So then we fragment ourselves, and when we fragment ourselves, then we cannot do good for all, and that's not aligned with coexistence. So is repeating again, dharma is when we become happy based on understanding, and we all want that. And what do we need to understand? Understand ourselves and existence. And he's going to develop that a little bit. Existence is an eternal truth, which doesn't increase or decrease. What is the evidence of this? All that is there around us is the present. Present never ends, it is continuous. This earth may have 4 orders or just one. At the minimum, one order, material order, continues to remain. Physical entities continues to exist. These are never annihilated. The physical entities only manifest as chemical entities, which is called chemical resonance. Rasainik urmi. 2 physical entities come together while leaving their prior conducts and making a third kind of conduct, that is chemical resonance. All entities of plant order were formed as a result of chemical resonance. The chemical entities naturally give rise to emergence of Pran Kosha, Pran Sutra, and Rachna Vidhi. There is no contribution for any engineers, doctors, or intellectuals in this. Hence, we come to know that the steps of development progression are well established in existence. Humans are also a step in this progression. You and I can understand this. If humans don't live in orderliness in their activities and thoughts, as per their position in development progression, then Earth will not remain habitable for them and humans will get wiped out. The rest of the physical and chemical entities will remain as is, but the human race will vanish from Earth. There is no gain or loss in existence. Existence neither increases nor decreases. The 4 orders are continuously present. This is the way of existence. If all the 4 orders are not together on this earth, they will be on some other planet. What would be more foolish than humans thinking that their development is in making Earth uninhabitable? So we need to understand existence, and here is giving a little bit of a glimpse of what existence is. One point is that it is eternal truth, so it doesn't change, doesn't increase, doesn't decrease. Whatever is there in existence, the same amount will always be there and has always been there. There was no creation, there will not be destruction. There can be change in the different formation. It can change like the form, the shape that it takes, but the amount will always be the same. And there's the 4 orders. At minimum, the material order is there, but overall in existence, even if not on this earth, there will always be the 4 orders somewhere. But the matter can never, like the minimum is matter, because there will never be disappearance, because it says there's no increasing, no decreasing. And he's also talking a little bit about the development progression, how from material order, then there's chemical resonance happening, which gives rise to all the plant order, which also the same way bodies are developed of animal and also of human. And at the same time, there's the development in the atom, which in the end reached to constitution completeness, and that's the Jeevan atom. And so there's no human interference in that. Like humans have nothing to do with this. There's no engineer, no doctor. It's happening naturally in coexistence. And if we want to connect it with faith, I think the same year, there's no God involved either. It's not like God created. No, it's always there. It's has always been there, will always be there. And I was just, I think when I came to this, it's like, I think it's not possible to imagine actually something that's not starting and not ending. I think that's the limitation of imagination, and that's what we have to understand. It's fully different activity in Jivan that is not activated. So it's really hard if we just try to imagine, because whatever we imagine has like a borders and a beginning and end. So that's where we see we need a different activity actually to be able to see. It's understanding, it's not imagining. So that's very nice point, and I'll continue reading. Most people consider a person, nation, or sect that causes such nuisance to be developed. This requires some rethinking. It has now become evident that we are stuck due to our own doing. We need to untangle ourselves now. The proposal for this has been presented to you. It needs to be thought over, and your cooperation is essential in this. Humans turn to good or bad tendencies with their own will. If they don't find the path to good, they rush towards bad tendencies. This proposal is for going towards good. It needs to be considered, and its path needs to be recognized. First, humane character is universal. It is the same for all humans. Human character is in the form of rightfully owned wealth, rightful marital relationship, and kindness in work and behavior. Second, values flow upon recognizing relationships. Values are fulfilled upon recognition, evaluation, and mutual satisfaction in relationship. We are ethical only when we make right use and ensure security of our resources in the form of body, mind, and wealth. In this way, human conduct is a joint expression of values, character, and ethics. These three are the cornerstone for living in orderliness. Humane conduct is the maxim, and I arrived at the humane constitution when I elaborated for humane living in family, society, occupation, and nature. The grandeur of humane conduct alone can be manifested as national character. The erstwhile thinking of statecraft based on religion in economics has failed. We will now need to search for the alternative. The proposal for this is to define the national character on the basis of humane conduct. Nowhere and at no point in time will anyone have difficulty in understanding it. For once, we need to experience the happiness of living with humane conduct. As we elaborate the humane conduct and the humane constitution in the form of the Code of Humane Conduct, it takes the form of sociology. Education needs to incorporate humane sociology. How will humans become wise? What is the grandeur of a human with humanness? How does a human with humanness live in family, in society, and in systems? All this falls under sociology, which is a subject of study in itself. Human can live very nicely while trusting the present. Existence neither increases nor decreases. Therefore, we can recognize existence in the form of the ultimate truth. So here is developing on the humane conduct, and which are character, values, and ethics. And these are very important for living in orderliness, which living in orderliness will result in resolution and in dharma. So still connecting to dharma here. And this, I think we already talked about human conduct in the previous sessions, so I won't elaborate on that so much, but that is, that can be the basis of human constitution and what can define national character, which was Babaji's one of his first questions in the first place. And it needs to be incorporated in education as well. And so far, we have tried to define our constitutions either based on economics or faith, but this has failed. So the true constitution will be defined by humane conduct, which helps to see how we're supposed to live in family, in society, with nature. So it's very holistic. How will people live with resolution, with prosperity? How do we become wise? And that will lead to dharma, and that needs to be incorporated in education. And again, giving reassurance that existence doesn't increase, doesn't increase. That's why we can trust. We can trust the present. And so we can recognize ourselves in that and live accordingly. Nature, saturated in omnipotence itself, is existence. The present can never be destroyed. We are intellectually unresolved in the present because of our inability to live in orderliness. We therefore escape to the past and the future in our memory, which makes us frustrated and miserable. There is no disorder in existence. Existence is in absolute orderliness. Whenever humans make anything, it has to break down eventually. For example, when a machine is made, it eventually breaks down. When a house is constructed, it eventually becomes deteriorated. But matter is never destroyed, so even when a house is reduced to dust, we could reconstruct it with our labor. Jeevan has inexhaustible strengths and powers, which we use for nourishment and protection of the body and social participation. We call this prosperity. We may need to use the phone a few times a day, but the phone is available 24 hours of the day. That's prosperity. Our requirement is to go out once a day, but the bicycle is available all day at home. If that's not prosperity, then what is it? We consume only 1 quintal grain, but our production is 20 quintals. That's prosperity. These examples illustrate resources are plenty, requirements are less. We can experience prosperity in all aspects of our living. Experiencing prosperity is a human need. If there is any use of the material word, then it is that humans may experience prosperity. There is only one way to experience prosperity, and that is to produce in excess of our family's requirement. The continuity of resolution is ensured by living in orderliness with prosperity. Once understanding is attained, upon resolution, we have its eternal continuity, and we don't need to strive for it anymore. This itself is the basis of feeling good. It is not possible to feel good whenever one thinks of a problem. In this way, understanding is the basis of resolution. Deploying labor is the basis of prosperity, and living in orderliness with coexistence is the basis of experiencing fearlessness. This I have seen, understood, and lived, which I'm capable of imparting it to you. Justice equal being capable of living in undivided society, universal orderliness. Truth equal being capable of authenticity. Being authentic means that we have understood, we can impart it to others. The only maxim for understanding is to understand orderliness, understand justice, and understand humans. I am among those who have become successful in understanding these. So here is going on about the prosperity aspect a little bit. How whatever we build will break down eventually. That's what happens in matter. It's just like forms and deforms, but it never disappears. So we, even if something gets damaged or broken, we can always fix it. If it gets even reduced to dust, we can still build it again. So there's always a lot of resources available, more than what we need. Like, and that's prosperity. Like the resources are way more than what we need. And again, connecting to that first question, that like, if there's any use for the material world, it's that human may experience prosperity. And prosperity is required for living in orderliness, to continue to live in orderliness, to continue to nourish the body and participate in social orderliness. And yeah, so living in orderliness with prosperity, that's how we can feel good. That's how we will achieve happiness. And at the end here, he's talking about authenticity, which is once you understand and you become really authentic, and everything you do will be based on your understanding, and you can also impart it to others. And he became successful at it, and we can also. And that's how we can all live in orderliness. And that's the end of my session today. We'll have to wait for next session to continue to have the rest of the answer. It's a pretty long answer. And as a conclusion, I wanted to, thank you, Raketji, for the opportunity. It was very nice listening to everyone. I think it's different to hear the book from reading from someone else, plus of course everyone's experience and explanation, and also for myself to have to like put a little bit more effort in like understanding what I'm reading, and not just like reading through. And sometimes we think that we know these things, but actually if I have to explain, I realize, oh no, I don't. So it was a very good opportunity for that. And overall, thank you for the translation work. Very, very useful. You know, I don't speak any Hindi, so that is very useful. And from the first versions, which are, you know, maybe not as good, but still very, very helpful, until like the improvement, all the steps are very, very helpful and useful. So thank you everyone who's involved, and keep on the good work.
Have really made the book alive. Um, looking at the number of views that your session actually got, it seems a lot of people took interest into your reading of the last time, and they were quite impressed the way that you two actually bring together this understanding, the honesty with which uh, you speak. Uh, Basically, the point uh, in the last uh, reading also that you brought about, that it doesn't matter where we are from, right? And what we are, uh, what has been our direction, what has been our background. The important thing is that we are human being, and our dharma is happiness, and what we understand is what basically uh, constitutes us for as a awakened person. So it doesn't really matter what our background is, and the steps for that will become different based on our uh, current situation. But important thing is that all of us are essentially the same, right? And this is something that really comes across when we actually uh, listen to you, uh, someone who has not really read the books in Hindi, but is actually reading it in a way second hand, but it appeals to you just as much, right? So it is quite heartening. So I will now open the floor for asking any questions or any discussion that we want to have in this. So we have finished a little early today, and so we have time. So so anyone who wants to basically uh, have, or anything that Estelle you would like to bring up in this session.
Yeah, I just wanted to raise one point.
Mhm.
One, congratulations, Estelle, for reading it out marvelously. It's so good to hear you read as well as explain. Okay. When everyone has done it equally well in this whole series, but when I look at you and Spencer, and then Kevin from Germany, like when it sort of encourages us a lot. It it generates a lot of enthusiasm among us. So coming back to the content here, in the last page we were talking about prosperity. I remember in my early days of Jeevan Vidya, it was so relaxing and so comforting to actually understand this simple thing that our physical needs are limited and it is not difficult to overcome that. So I just want to ask you, on a personal experiential basis, I mean, you and Spencer, either of you, you want to share how, uh, I mean, how was this concept of prosperity? How did you take it when you heard it for the first time, when you understood it for the first time? And then, was it equally relaxing and comforting for you guys also?
You can start.
Yeah.
I need to think.
Yeah, I also need to like I don't remember exactly, but overall, yeah, I think it is like I think overall all the content is relaxing because you find answers to everything. But the prosperity point, I think especially coming from, a very materialistic part of the world where we think we'll find happiness through having things. It's actually, yeah, pretty interesting to see, okay, no, you won't find happiness there, but you can define, yeah, as you say, you can understand that your needs are limited and that there's enough, because there's usually the idea that, we cannot all make it. We cannot, especially if we have the idea that like happiness is having that big house and like so much technology and everything, then yeah, there's not enough on earth for sustaining everyone. So to understand that our physical needs are limited and there's way enough and we can produce it ourselves, I think that's a pretty interesting point. Yeah. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Well, prosperity. Yeah, I'm just trying to think when, now it's many years ago when I first heard, it's like 10 years now for me, when I first took my first workshop. Yeah, I mean, at that time, when I first took the first workshop, I was taking on like which is not uncommon, I think, with amongst my friends at the time, like a little bit push against consumption, you know. I think a lot of my friends at the time, we grew up in a very like wealthy environment. Not when I say not extremely, not very lavish, just but the standard is very comfortable, you know. And I can see amongst my friends, everyone was searching for something a little bit more than that, and not satisfied in just like you go to work, you earn your things, you have a nice house, you have a nice car, you have enough things, you have money for vacation, you have money for, you know, renovating the house. But I think amongst my friends, we were all in the same sort of social class and not really finding satisfaction with that. So many of us, we sort of, as a group of friends, pushed away and tried to, you know, consume less. Or in hindsight, I think we were consuming the same. We just switched the flavor a little bit. You know, in hindsight, I think we were still focused around consumption, but just switching the flavor from more stable to, we were trying to be more a little bit nomadic, like infusing a little bit of idealism in there, nomadic, not having very many belongings. At that time, I was, you know, sleeping just on the floor, and I was traveling to different friends' places with only my backpack, you know, with fewer belongings. So, but obviously that's not prosperity either, just having less stuff. But I can see already I was shifting, my idea was sort of anti-consumption. But prosperity in terms of being able to produce, yeah, I never actually thought much about production, to be honest. I never thought about how I will earn a livelihood, or how we get material things in general. You know, material things just come from the store, or someone else does it, or you just acquire it. I never really made so much connection about the importance of production and seeing the real value in it. So I think I became very inspired and saw the richness in like being a producer, actually, you know, and actually the value in actually engaging with your hands and making things. Whereas I think it was not really promoted as an option for me growing up. Like of course my parents are very supportive, but it was not sort of it's not encouraged, it's not really seen value. But definitely I've after developing some skills and seeing the value, I can see how, yeah, how much confidence you can gain by being able to produce a little bit. And obviously I'm not at a state of prosperity at all, but at least I can maybe see the thread, how it connects, how production is something very important. So, and yeah, how human beings can produce more than their needs. Yeah, it's remarkable concept, really. I would like to see that in myself, but I think a big part of it is, yeah, well, resolution first and understanding your needs, you know, becoming happy first. So
Good, good. Thanks for your thoughts. Thank you.
yeah, does that answer?
Namaste and greetings to all. A very similar question like Sanjeev Bhaiya has asked. This question is open to all of you, those who are working since long in this particular field. Now, we are listening every other day in India that 80 crore people will still be getting food grains for the next 5 years, those who are below poverty line. So if this is the state in India, so how difficult it is to bring the sense of prosperity to those 80 crore and more people, and will this Jeevan Vidya be limited to a few educated people? So what is your perspective? How can we take it to the those who are not able to earn enough? For them, prosperity is a big dream. So this is a question, since we have today time, so that is why I'm asking this question. And in the last class, unfortunately, I could not get the link because I think Sanjeev Bhaiya was busy, and there was a message for Sunday class that it will not take place. So I thought the Saturday class is also not taking place. But later on, yes, I have seen Estel's last session on YouTube. Yes.
So, Astral, Spencer, want to take that up?
We can, yeah. So you were saying that 80 crore people in India is what you were saying, or I guess a large number are
Yes, the
struggling
similar
to
can
make
be
it.
situation in Canada also, or in some other countries
Sure.
where people are not aware about Jeevan Vidya or this perspective. So, for example, how can you take this idea to your friends and neighbors, relatives, and others? So you can give answer in that perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right now, in my life, like I somewhat feel if I need to find resolution prosperity, you know, in order to be able to effectively even share it, because if I don't have it, I don't know how I will share it, you know. So I can't really imagine uh the conversion or uh the spreading if I'm not able to achieve it. At least that's where I am right now, you know. But can it be achieved by all people? Absolutely, I think, because um yeah, I mean there's so many problems that go into a situation of poverty, right? It's not just one situation, but I think the it's not due to lack of production. Already on Earth, you know, we're producing way more, or we have the ability to produce way more. And Babaji has clearly said that, you know, humans can produce more. I think it's lack of justice, lack of recognizing our relationship, you know, animalistic consciousness. So focusing on our own consumption and living guided by fear and by greed. So as long as our lives are guided by fear and greed, then there's going to be conflict amongst each other. We're going to marginalize others. We're only going to care about ourselves and maybe our small immediate surroundings. So I think the poverty is a result of this very messy situation that we have. And so to just address the poverty, I don't think is quite accurate, because it's interlinked with human understanding, you know? And so once we have resolution, then and many things will unfold, you know, and prosperity will also get taken care of in that process. So yeah, I can't speak exactly of how it will look like and how it will unfold. Um, yeah, it just one memory is coming. I also traveled to India actually once prior to, this is just a little story, once prior to being introduced to Jeevan Vidya. My father, as I might have mentioned, he's an optometrist, an eye doctor. And we actually traveled, I was 17 years old, and we traveled to India, and we went actually to Nagaland, so way up in the north east there. And we did an eye care clinic, and we provided glasses, and we did some things. And I remember seeing a few women, they were cooking for our group, and they were sitting around this big pot, and in this dark shed, and it was so smoky, and they were just, the three of them were stirring and cooking, and they were just laughing every other second. They were just so joyful together. And I remember that experience thinking, wow, oh my goodness, they have hardly anything here. It's such a very rustic, rough setup from what I'm used to. And yet there's so much joy there. So that was one very inspiring part. And then towards the end of that same trip, I was traveling on the train, and we were going to Agra, of course, to see Taj Mahal and those things. So when you're leaving Delhi going to Agra, I was just shocked by just the amount of people, and just that were living like very much close to the train tracks, and seeing it stretched for so long, just driving in the train. And I thought it was just a little bit shocking for me to see the contrast, the conditions of where I grew up in, and what I was witnessing. And immediately after this trip to India, we joined my family members to a very fancy skiing resort, like in the mountains. And we joined them there, and this is where all the celebrities in Hollywood have their places. And at that time, my aunt and my cousin and my sister, they were going on tours of just the celebrity properties. It's just like a very fancy area. And for me, that was certainly not my interest or cup of tea. And I remember sitting in a restaurant, and people were debating over which things to order. And I just had this very dramatic experience coming from India, seeing the joy and the simplicity that people have, also seeing the poverty and the lack of basic necessities, and then coming directly to this very fancy resort. And it just seemed so unfair to me. I left the restaurant in tears, out in the cold weather. And I just thought, it was just too overwhelming, the lack of fairness. So this doesn't necessarily answer your question. I'm sorry. I just thought it just came to mind when you were talking about poverty, and I thought I could share that situation.
So nice, Spencer, for you to share that incident. I think uh, the point is that who would come in contact with this understanding first, right? And who would come later? So those who are basically at the very bottom of the society, they actually are struggling to make their ends meet. And those who are at the very top, they don't really care, is what at least normally that is what is the sense that we get. Those who are at the very top and those who are at the very bottom are, but there is a big middle that is there, right? Which basically gets in, has comes first, right? Those who are not really struggling to their and make their ends meet, or nor do they have so much that they don't have to worry about their physical necessities. So, so Babaji used to say it is the middle that will first come first. Okay. And then the others will come. So it is not, while everybody has the same need, or the dharma is the same for all humans, right? But who actually comes first really depends on their own need from uh, for addressing to this need for gyan or understanding, right? And probably it has also got something to do with our past journeys as well, right? It probably has something to do with that. Some people actually it appeals to them first, while to some it actually doesn't. Yeah. So there is a difference really. People are at different levels of understanding the need for uh, this knowledge. Yeah. So Yeah, very interesting points. Yeah. So I think in India, a lot of us also are in the at the place, especially the spirituality has always been associated with renouncing the material things, right? It has always been associated with that. And when we come to Jivan Vidya, many of us actually find the relief that this spiritual becoming spiritual or becoming with understanding does not mean that you renounce the material things, but actually find its you need to actually find its right place, right? So that is something that gives us the relief that Sanjeev Bhaiya was talking about. Yeah, yeah. So very interesting points and something that brings us to think. Thanks for sharing that story, Spencer. Something coming from heart.
For sure. Yeah.
S- We have some more people here. Manju Didi, you were saying something?
Uh, Thank you, sir. I just wanted to say the point कि we educators only can spread the awareness in society as we are already doing it. Like, actually, it's a matter of mindset only, lacking mindset. And abundance is also a matter of mindset. I am doing it personally in my school, like daily in assembly. I speak for 10 minutes and I'm seeing the change in the mindset of students. Definitely, it's getting changed. I think we educators can be the big instrument in spreading this awareness.
Indeed. Yes. Yes, I think
And
that's
and
a very
moreover,
well
I
put.
think once the point by Manju Didi is like once it will come into education, like Babaji is always saying, once it will come into education, then it will become easy comparatively. That it will
Yeah.
be reaching to the masses.
Yes, sir. Very right, sir. Thank you so much.
There's another thing that Spencer said, which was something which I really appreciated, is that I am trying to achieve a resolution and prosperity myself. And once I feel that I have attained it, then I will become capable of saying with authenticity that it is the way for others as well. Though I might be logically convinced that it is something that can achieve. So that was also something very honest. There was something very honest about that. uh, Second thing that Spencer talked about is that engaging with production actually gives you the kind of uh, confidence that does not come otherwise, right? So this is something that I had also experienced to some extent. I had been uh, brought up in the city with no experience of working in the field and all the things. But in 2011, when we actually started this farm in near Bemitra, so that was my first exposure to actually see the end to end of what it takes uh, for a bowl of rice to reach my dining table, right? The amount of work that actually is involved in doing that, and there is nothing that can actually prepare you with that for that feeling apart from actually physically engaging with that activity, right? So thanks really. uh, Anyone, we have quite a few people today, so anyone else would like to join this discussion? Namaste Suren
हेलो
भैया. हाँ जी, राजीव जी.
जी नमस्कार।
नमस्ते नमस्ते राजीव जी.
It has been quite enlightening to listen to you people along with the other foreign dignitaries. The point which have been raised, those points are quite relevant to the context of the point like prosperity, poverty, education, right kind of education, reaching the masses. Ultimately, the always, Babaji has said, you are quite right, that things will happen and start and originate from uh, the middle, but it will touch the tail ultimately.
Yes, indeed. That's true.
So I just creeped in. Actually, I have no previous uh, experience of attending any of such video conferences. It has been quite nice and experience. Perchance, I just saw that it was there on my WhatsApp uh, chat, and I just clicked it, and this is how I came to the picture.
Most
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
Suren Bhaiya, you want to say anything?
Yeah, सभी को नमस्कार. Rakesh Bhaiya, it's a very interesting discussion, but I think Babaji has the point that we are discussing right now, how there will be a balance between rich and poor, and balance point is prosperity, and for that essential point is to have understanding. Once we have the understanding or resolution, then I think all human beings or every family will understand that our needs are definite, limited, and I'm sure in that order with so-called rich people who are in competition to control our resources will also understand that the efforts they are making to have or accumulation of resources is not going to them make them happy, and then the human values like generosity, kindness, compassion will happen. And what we are talking today, the people who are have nots, there will be ways to redistribution of wealth, not by way of government, not by way of some force, but by natural own will. And that's how I think we will move towards that situation when every family will have resolution and prosperity. Of course, a long way to go, but that's the way to start. This is how to start, that everybody gets this information, this knowledge of Madhyas Darshan. And I think we are moving in that direction rightly. That's all what I just wanted to mention. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you, Rakesh Bhaiya. Yeah.
Very nice. Thanks, Suren Bhaiya. So, if nothing else, then I would like to thank Estelle for her very nice presentation, something that we all of us will cherish. Uh, so we will meet next, and next session will be facilitated by Netal Agarwal, and we look forward to listening to her on this Saturday. Yeah. So thank you everyone, and wish you a nice day or evening, all of you. Namaste.
Namaste to all. Greetings.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste.